welcome to the August 2025 episode of Voices of CFMA, Construction Financial Management Association's podcast featuring conversations with industry leaders, sponsored by Banger. I'm your host, Sal Marino, CFMA's Director of Communications and the Managing Editor for CFMA Building Profits magazine. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Denita Schreier, CCIFP, of WDS Construction. In celebration of CCIFP Month happening right now in August, we're shining a spotlight on what it means to pursue and earn the CCIFP designation. There's a lot going on for CCIFP Month, so be sure to check out the website at ccifp.cfma.org for details. Denita is here to tell us why she took that leap, what motivated her, how the credibility, learning, and community of CCIFP has impacted her career, and how you too can make this moment count. So let's dive right in. Denita, welcome to Voices of CFMA. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
My name is Denita Schreier. I am the Executive Vice President and CFO of WDS Construction out of Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. We do commercial construction, lots of retail. Our roots were in retail. We're nationwide, so we'll follow our clients wherever they need us to go. Medical office, cold storage and food, industrial. We just completed our first multifamily project, 120 units in Baraboo, Wisconsin.
What about your CFMA journey? How'd you get started with CFMA?
Well, in 1995, I was hired on to a general contractor who had a Pennsylvania regional office that was about 3 years old. They needed a branch controller. I always tell the story that you have to think back to what technology was in 1995. They didn't have like internet and high-speed data. So they were truly a remote office, not totally connected to the home office. So ran their own financials and payroll and all of that. I was the branch controller. I had worked previously with a company that was building facilities, was so intrigued by the construction process that when I saw an ad to work for a construction company, I thought that is for me. And I'll never forget asking the CFO, the corporate CFO, when I was in my training, hey, can you just explain the difference? Like, what is bonding and surety? How's that relate to insurance? And he said, I'll tell you what, there's an organization called CFMA. You need to join your local chapter. He was out of Wisconsin. I was out of Pennsylvania at the time. And so I did. And that's where my construction finance education journey began.
Wow, I love it. So you've been a CFMA member for a minute or two. Do you have a favorite experience, whether it's a conference or a course or a conversation that's had a lasting impact on you?
I do. I've been involved in all of those. I probably have stories in every category. But I think my favorite that I like to share is walking into that very first CFMA meeting in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I was literally one of two females in the room. And being new to an organization, being completely outnumbered was intimidating. And Chris Bushy and Vicky Spots came to welcome me, and it's left such a lasting impression of their professionalism and friendship and all the things you get out of that, but also the power of welcoming new members.
That's great. I know what you mean with the first welcome really sticking with you and I'm glad it sounds like it did, because for you, it even helped lead to you going after the CCIFP designation. You've talked previously about how you pursued the designation because it was a way to validate your industry knowledge and show your employer that you were serious about your career. Can you talk a little bit about what that looked like for you?
Yes. So when I began my journey in construction, I was already a CMA, a certified management accountant, because I knew I was going into private practice. So I went that route versus the CPA. So when the CCIFP came out, I was naturally just attracted to it because I had already been through a certification process. But I think it was 2004, the inaugural year, went to New Orleans for the very first exam. And I was, what, 9 years, almost 9 years into my position as a controller in a construction company. And I thought, yeah, this is it. This is showing that I've mastered the construction finance knowledge base and also showing my employer, hey, I expect to have a career in this industry, in this field.
Awesome. And do you think there's a mindset shift that happens when someone decides to take that CCIFP journey?
I don't know about everyone. I think for me, it was important to me personally to prove, my own knowledge. Um, and like I said, to show my employer, like I wanted to stay in this industry. I'm serious about this career. Um, I think it does give you confidence that, yeah, you've gained credibility, you have that certification, you put that behind your name, you've proven your knowledge.
And for a lot of people, fear can be the biggest barrier, whether it's fear of the test itself or fear of committing to a date. I know it's been a little while, but did you feel any of that when you were getting ready for the CCIFP exam?
That's probably, I think the hardest part of the exam was just personal circumstance. My dad had unexpectedly passed away like within 30 days of the exam. And here I was, like on track to take the exam, on track to travel to New Orleans. I'll never forget the flight. Like I literally had my backpack full of the Building Profits articles that they referenced. I'm like trying to do my last minute catch up. And I remember like shedding tears
Oh
on the
my
plane.
goodness.
Like, it was so raw that.
Right.
So I think, hey, if I can pass and go through all that, like it's easy for anyone else, right? Um, the study guides are fantastic. Like if you kind of follow the guidance, and especially if you've been in the industry and you're doing the things day to day, month to month, quarter to quarter, you're good. Like don't doubt yourself.
Wow. That's an incredible story. I think it's fair to say that if you could do it under those circumstances, that most of us can find a way. But let me ask you this, Danita. Once you earn those letters, how did it start to shape your approach to leadership?
Um, my approach to leadership. Well, I like the fact that they have the continuing education requirements because I think that's just fantastic to keep up on the industry knowledge. I don't know that it's necessarily shaped my approach to leadership. I think that might have been the same regardless. I know that I've encouraged others, whether it's people I'm mentoring or people that I'll meet through CFMA to take the exam. I think it's been good for my career, and I think it's good for other people's careers.
Looking back, how do you think your day-to-day role changed once you earned that CCIFP?
I mean, I do feel that when I look backwards and think of things that have been accomplished, maybe like in the last 20 years since I've earned it. Yeah, having the initials behind your name gives that certain credibility. So when people are seeking you out from a resource standpoint, they're going to gravitate to people that have the initials. I also think after I achieved the CCIFP, I had gone out on my own, had started a consulting practice. I don't think I would have done that without that CCIFP. So that's probably one of the most critical pieces to giving me the confidence and also to say, like, hey, I think people will see me as an expert because I was out consulting to construction companies, whether they needed a fractional CFO, they needed someone to review their WIP, they needed someone to review their business processes. And I was using all of that same knowledge base that I took the test on in what I was doing, for clients.
That's great. I mean, it's clear that the CCIFP has been huge for your career, but you've also talked about the value of the people and the resources around you. What do you think makes the CFMA community stand out from other professional communities?
For sure, just the peer network. It is amazing, the number of times that I email or call someone and say, hey, I'm looking at a captive. I know you guys are in a captive. What's been your experience? Or, hey, we're looking at changing up our IT. What are you doing for IT services? That peer network and the willingness of CFMA members to share and give advice is so different from any other association I've ever belonged to.
So, what would you say to someone who thinks they're too far along in their career to benefit from the CCIFP designation?
I don't think you're ever too far along in your career to validate or achieve. I think the day that we want to stop achieving is maybe the day we should hang up our spurs.
Okay, that's a great way to put it. And clearly, you're not one to hang up your spurs anytime soon. But when you're not working or involved with CFMA, what kind of things do you enjoy doing?
Um, when I'm not working. So my husband and I recently became empty nesters.
Oh, okay.
And so that was a difficult transition. I think it happened a little sooner than we both anticipated. So I ride horses. I've always enjoyed horses. My kids showed horses and were involved in 4-H and some other associations with competitions or whatnot, horsemanship generally. So adopted a couple neighborhood and church kids that wanted to learn how to ride. And so that keeps me busy when it's not a frozen tundra here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I bet. Well, so okay, so you went from an empty nesters to adopting local children.
Yeah. Yep. Like if you don't have any of your own, ask around. There's plenty of parents who are like, yeah, I'll take a break. I also have 5 grandkids, and they're all in Wisconsin. Number 6 is coming in Wisconsin this fall, and uh, I guess I can announce number 7 coming in February.
Oh, very nice. Well, that's a great announcement on the
Yeah,
podcast. Look at that. We have an exclusive. Um,
that's
oh, I love it.
exclusive for
Yeah.
sure.
Very cool. Very cool. So if someone's listening and thinking to themselves, I don't have the time to go for the CCIFP right now, what would you say to them?
I would say that if you have been in the industry and you feel confident in what you do day to day, month to month, year to year, you probably are equipped to take the CCIFP. And at the very least, it would give you a benchmark of where you are and
Yeah.
maybe what areas you need to polish up on. But yeah, don't let lack of study time deter you. If you've been in the industry, you probably already know the material.
Okay. Well, Danita, I have one final question for you, and it's a fill in the blank. In the future, I hope CFMA will.
I would say would never stray from high standards. The improvements that National has made, probably since COVID, to really provide amazing education connections, some of the chapter connections that they do, the leadership connections they do, um, I think has just made the organization that much stronger and also allowed people to stay connected to those outside of their local membership.
Excellent. Well, Danita, thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You as well, Sal. Thanks so much.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Voices of CFMA, sponsored by Banger. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it on social media. And if you're interested in learning more about the Construction Financial Management Association, check out cfma.org. Once again, I'm your host, Sal Marino, and I will see everyone back here next month.